June, get ready. You're going to your auntie's.
I don't want to go to my auntie's.
You're only going to be there a few hours.
No, I don't want to go there because it always messes with me.
But tell his mama.
Hey, it's LaJune, Mind, Health, and Wellness with LaJune. Oh my gosh, I don't know if you guys are ready for this lady. She is the brainstorming bestie. That in itself says a lot that what we are about to talk about, Nic Laprosperous, that name. let's hey, that was creative. We're gonna get into that. She's the intuitive strategist and creator of the Ideal Detox. Welcome, welcome, welcome. How are you, gorgeous?
Thank you. That was a wonderful introduction. And I am great. Thank you so much for having me.
So, can you give a background on yourself?
All right, so I am Nic Laprosperous, aka the Brainstorming Bestie. I am the creator of the Idea Detox, which is an experience, a mental clarity experience, where I take accomplished entrepreneurs, change makers, visionaries, creatives through a process to create mental space, get back in alignment to their true vision, right? Like if you have a whole bunch of things in your brain and everything sounds good, everything sounds bad, like how can you focus, how can you see your next steps clearer? And I help with that. I am a wanderer. I like to call myself a wealthy hobo by choice. And I am just here to support the human behind the business, honestly.
So, you said a lot. What was it for you that made you decide to go in this area of expertise?
For me, it was honestly a gift that I realized that I had. And I was like, well, gifts are not for us, right? Like, think about it. Our body is not meant to hold a gift. That's why we don't share our gifts. We feel this like discomfort. We feel like we're not being of purpose to humanity. So I'm like, how do I share my gift in a way that honors how I show up in this world and also honor how I am meant to share this gift, right? And that's where the soulful brainstorming came along. That's where the idea detox came along. This is just a gift. And what got me into this is lupus, honestly, a lupus diagnosis. I didn't know how much longer I can work. I didn't know when my body was going to attack. So entrepreneurship was the most logical thing for me to do.
So, you mentioned lupus. A lot of women are being diagnosed with lupus, and I've had guests on who, for years, they could not identify what was going on with them. I had one guest, she said it was 12 years before they diagnosed her with lupus. They thought that she was a hypochondriac. They thought that, they're giving her different medicines and doing different things and could not get to the root cause of the problem. What did that look like for you?
Oh man. Okay, so for me, getting diagnosed was not that difficult just based on how my body flared up, right? Like my
Mm,
whole entire body was inflamed. Every single joint on my body was inflamed. So right away I went to, the doctor, because I couldn't walk. I'm like in excruciating pain. They were like, you have some form of lupus, not diagnosing what type and getting official diagnosis. That took like about 4 years. But it's so crazy. Look how life is, right? In hindsight, I have been dealing with lupus since 9 years old and was
Oh,
misdiagnosed.
wow.
9 years old. But when I was in my late 20s, the reason that was able to be identified so much quicker is because of how the flare up happened. Like from 9 until like 20 something, I would just get these pain in my leg, which would stop me from walking for like a week. So they were like, oh, rheumatoid arthritis, all these things. I've never had that. I have been dealing with lupus since I was 9 years old, right? But this is how funny life is. Because I didn't know, it never stopped me from doing things, right? It never put a hindrance on me. And I think that's what allowed me to find myself quicker when I was diagnosed, because I had to think to myself, if I joined the military with lupus without knowing, if I traveled, if I trained to be a correction officer, if I did all these things when I didn't know, why should this change now that I do know? So that was my little aha, my switch for me to really not find who I was, but like really build a foundation of who I am now.
I love that because, some people, when they get a diagnosis, it changes their thought process. It changes, oh my God, my life is over. I'm not going to be able to do this. I'm not going to be able to do that. And it's that fear that impacts them. For you, you went back to the beginning of looking at, I probably had this since I was 9. I played, I ran, I jumped, I skipped, I went to the military, I did this, I did this, I did this. A lot of people don't do that. So, with that, what would you tell a woman who's been diagnosed with something how to? And I'm sure it took you a while because I'm sure it wasn't, oh my God, I'm diagnosed with
Yeah.
lupus. Oh my God, I went to
Set
the
it up. Like this
military.
wasn't no like I got lupus and I don't care because I'm strong. It was not that.
Right.
It
So,
was a journey.
if you can kind of, help someone with that that's being diagnosed with anything, if it's cancer, if it's, autoimmune, if it's a neurological, if it's whatever, kind of give a understanding of how and what that time frame look like for you to get to that point, because it's not overnight. It's something you do have to keep pushing and telling yourself.
Oh my God, yes, that is such a great question. And what comes to my mind is the first couple years was hell for me. It was fear based. It was a lot of shame. It was a lot of weakness. Like, what would people think if they know this is going on, right? Because I grew up in a family where like the women are powerful. I was always told like I'm a powerful black woman, and you know what I could do, and this and that. So it's like your body, when you fail a written test, you can see you didn't study enough, right? You're just not a good test taker. When you fail a physical activity test, right? You can see you didn't train enough. Like, what is it when your body is attacking itself? Like how I couldn't put my mind around that. Like what the heck is going on here? So for years I was afraid to like do anything. I was afraid to walk. I was afraid of anything that would cause me physical pain. And
Mhm.
then it just hit me one day like I'm not meant to die this way. It like that was the thought. I don't die this way. I'm not meant to live my life this way. So the first thing I had to do was detach myself from lupus, right? It's not my lupus, it's a diagnosis. First and foremost, I don't claim it. It's an annoying roommate that I just cannot get rid of yet. That's how I look at it. Annoying roommate I just can't get rid of yet, right? So the first thing I had to do was not make it my identity. And a lot of people that are diagnosed with a chronic health condition, kind of it becomes identity, right? Because now you are making your life around this thing, and sometimes it's so much in your face that you can't help it. So that was a conscious decision that I had to make. The next one I had to tell myself is like, because we tend to want to go back to who we used to be. You're no longer that person. So that was a wake up call for me. Now I had to say, who is Nic despite this diagnosis? now I get to build her up. Now I get to add things into her. And this wasn't a one day thing. This was a constant intentional action that I took. Oh, I like this. I'm going to do that. Oh, this Nick like this. This Nick can handle this. And every time my health got better, oh, this Nick could handle this. So it was these small steps that build up to who I am now, right? It was me building a foundation that was solid despite lupus, despite this diagnosis. It was also me exploring myself again, right? Differently. Going on these explorations, saying, well, I like to do this. Let me try and see if I like this now. And I like to do this and I like to do that. So all these things built up to who I am now, right? Where like now it's just second nature. You know, if I happen to get a lupus flare up, I'm going to handle it, but I don't get lost in it. And that is just what helped me out.
I love that because you're right. A lot of individuals do define themselves by their diagnosis of my cancer, my lupus, my arthritis, my high blood pressure, my this, my that, and starting to look at it differently as this is a diagnosis. I will not allow this to define who I am and how I would live my life. I'm going to continue to strive and move forward. I definitely love that. So I'm just kind of curious, did the Laprosperous come from this, or is this something different?
Oh my gosh, no, it did not. It would have been nice if it did, right? A great story. But no, years ago, years ago, I was on Instagram and this article came up with this woman named her son like the best or the greatest or some mess like that, right? So he was like really great at what he did in sports. So I made a joke and I was like, well, shit, I'm going to name my child LaProsperous. And everybody was like, yo, that's dope, right? So now, a couple months later, somebody hacked into my Facebook account and they took my original Facebook name, my birth name.
Mm,
So now I'm terrified. I'm like, oh my God, is somebody like, you know, trying to come after me? I don't know. You just don't know, right?
right.
This is like around 2020 or 2021. So I was like, Nick Laprosperous. And that is how Nic Laprosperous came to be. People love it. I love it. And what it is to is intentional, right? Because when you say Nic Laprosperous, you are speaking prosperity onto me because it translates to Nick the Prosperous. It was,
Mm,
you know, like me taking something that I thought was just hilarious and cool and just making it this brand, right? Because I am all about prosperity, right? I'm about like you reimagining the human experience in a way that works for you, right? And that takes having clarity in who you are and who you're becoming.
so can you kind of walk through what a session looks like, what a client coming to you, what does that look like? So many people have different approaches to what they work on, and just for a woman who definitely needs your service to have that clarity of, okay, what would it be like to work with Nick?
Okay, so the idea detox, that is my signature offer. That is your introduction to me, right? Anyone that works with me have to go through this, right? Because contrary to belief, a lot of, you know, accomplished entrepreneurs that have success, right, that have tasted it, that you know, whether you're still a solopreneur or a team, um, you don't need more ideas, right? You technically have too much. You have the world of ideas. Everything probably sounds good, right? Which can be overwhelming. Which direction do you go now, right? Because yeah, you checked off all these check marks, but now the alignment piece isn't there, right? Now your soul is asking for more. Now you're thinking, what is next? What should I do next? Where am I going next? And that's where I come in to create that mental space for you to see that path clearer, for you to choose that one idea that not only aligns with you, but honors who you are and where you're going and who you're becoming. So, you know, the first intro to me is the idea detox, which is a 60-minute, you know, clarity experience where you come in, you don't have to have it all figured out, and we just untangle, the mess in your head, and we, detangle and verbalize your vision and make sense of, why something works and why it doesn't work. And what we also do, or what I also do in this session, is introduce the soul into the conversation. Sometimes when you're an entrepreneur, most times, honestly, when you're an entrepreneur, you're so logical, right? That you actually leave your soul out of the conversation. And that's what guides us here in our human experience, right? It needs a seat at the table. So that's what I do, is bring the soul into the conversation, bring the intuition into the conversation, right? So that now that next step, that next level of you, that next act that you are ready to embrace, right? That is based more in clarity and alignment and purpose filled. Your soul have a saying in it. Your gift have a saying in it. We're introducing the soul into the conversation. So that is the idea detox. It's not to put more on your plate, but it's to eliminate.
I like that because I think, for a lot of women, everything has to be so perfect. It has to look perfect. It has to be perfect. Before we start, if it doesn't look a certain way, we're not going to do it because it's not ideal, because we already have in our mind made up it has to look a certain way. And with that, you procrastinate, a lot of procrastination, and then you start talking yourself out of, why shouldn't I do it? So for you and everything you've experienced, if you could kind of talk about, did you go through a period of it had to be perfection, or you just was like, you know what, I'm gonna do it, I don't even care what it looked like?
It's a mixture of both, right? Because for years I had this idea, like, man, I wish I could help people with their ideas. And then I used to think, who gonna pay me for this? Ain't nobody gonna pay me for this. Everybody got, because you gotta think about it, right? What is what is ordinary to us is extraordinary to someone else. We often don't see our gift of how powerful it is, right? Because it comes so natural to us. So for me, when it came to like anything with the brain and creating clarity and alignment work, and just seeing how an idea works, like I can literally build your business as you're talking in my head. I didn't realize that's not something everybody could do. So I'm like, who gonna pay me for this? They pay. They are gonna pay. And so there was a part of me that went through that, right? So then when I was like, okay, well, this is what I'm gonna do, I just went all in, and then it hit me that something deeper was happening, and I got afraid and I stepped back. And I was like, okay, I need to figure out what this gift is. How do I make it work? So then, you go to coaches and you go to people that are expert in their field, and then you start fitting your idea, right? This calling that you had into their framework. And I realized that don't work for me. It didn't work for me. I'm not here to fit my stuff into your framework. I'm here to see how your framework, your gift, your talents help elevate my idea, help elevate my framework. So that was a turning point for me. So I got caught up in the, you got to make a 6-week program. How are you going to scale? How are you going to do all this? And my intuition kept saying, I didn't tell you to do that. God kept telling me, I didn't tell you to do that. Just speak. Just focus on this. So I literally went on my own journey to get back to the core of not only who I am, but how I'm meant to show up in this space. And this is the most common it has been being a brainstorming bestie, outside of when I first started, because that was the truth of what I was doing. So I've been there. I've been all around. I get what people going through, right? And that's why I'm so, passionate about the idea of detox, because it gets you back to the core of who you are. We are quiet in the noise, right? We are untangling all the mess, all the BS of years of saying, you got to do this, you got to be this way, you got to have this, and getting back to the core of you, getting back to, that intuition, that vision that God had put into you to say, this is how you show up. This is how you give back to humanity, right? Because I always say, I'm not here to be perfect. I'm here to be a purpose, because I'm still a human. I'm going to mess up some things. Some things I'm not
Oh,
going to
yeah.
get Some things I'm just meant to fall because that's how we learn. So perfection isn't a thing for me. Don't get me wrong. I like to look nice. I like my stuff to look nice, but it's not about perfection at that point. Right? It's about being of purpose. So once I made that switch, like I don't hold on to perfection and I got to get this right. Like if I don't get it right, I get it right the next time. And if I don't, that's okay too. But once I'm being true to myself, that's what matters. Once I'm being of service to humanity, that's what matters. Once I am operating in my gift and being intentional with it, that is what matters.
And I like how you brought up about, I know a lot of people join popular coaches programs to scale their business. And you're right, it doesn't work for everybody to be a part of those groups because guess what? God didn't give you the vision for you to have somebody else tell you how to operate and run what he's giving you to do. And I thought it was just me, but I'm glad because I've done it where I'm like, I don't like this, and this is not something that I want to do. I don't want to have the different slides and all this and that. I'm a more one-on-one type person where you contact me, we work through something, and then you can text me. Not that you got to go through 20 other people and you never get to me. So for me, that works great for those individuals. But, I think a lot of people have that fear base because they're like, well, I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know what it looks like. But God's giving you a vision of what to do. He didn't say it had to be perfect. He said, do it. So I think we as entrepreneurs have to get out of it has to look a certain way. It doesn't have to look a certain way. And you spoke on that, and I told you she had a amazing post on Facebook that caught my attention. My Facebook got hacked too. I just recently got it back. And I haven't been on Facebook like that. And it was this one post she talks about being an entrepreneur with lupus and learning how that looks. So if you can kind of, it's your story. So I just wanted them to kind of understand. But if you can kind of tell them about it, but it caught my attention because we have been taught that you have to build a business 24/7. You don't eat, you don't sleep. This is all you do. And you're killing yourself, and you don't see the fruits of your labor until after your six figures are a millionaire.
Yeah, I mean, that is so true, right? I think a lot of us go in survival mode, right? And it's hard to get out of survival mode and realize when you no longer need, it's not a need for it, right?
Yeah.
So for me, lupus, and I don't like, I hate the word humble. I hate it because I feel like that is a way to suppress the greatness. The definition of humbleness is not good. However, lupus humbled me. because because at one point I too wanted to be a part of the hustle culture, and I wanted to be like, sleeping you dead, I'm doing all this, and lupus is like, pump your brakes, that ain't for you. And it was a blessing because I couldn't be a part of that, right? So I had to say, how do I get to show up? How do I get to live healthy and live as pain-free as possible and still be a badass entrepreneur? So I was able to say, this is how I can do this. And when I stepped back because I couldn't be a part of that lifestyle, I realized that is not sustainable. That's not even healthy. Like, that is where the burnout is happening. That is, people are literally killing themselves to be a part of this hustle culture because it made it look like if you're not doing it this way, or you really working, or you really earning it, you're damn right. You damn right I am. I don't have to do things your way. So that was an early aha moment for me. And there's a lot of aha moments in my life. that made me realize, like, how do I get to be an entrepreneur despite a chronic health condition, right? How do I get to be an entrepreneur as a wanderer, as someone that likes to live different places? And, how does this fit into my lifestyle? So that was my priority. It was to build me up first before the business. It was to focus on who I am before the business. So while my business may be slower than others, I guarantee you I'm more happy than most. I'm more grounded than most. I'm more intentional than most because I went the different route and that worked for me.
Girl, you came on here to preach.
And I want to make something very clear. Those entrepreneurs that we pay to for their gift, right, and their skill and their knowledge, they're not always wrong because we didn't get something out of it. They just weren't for us.
Right,
Right?
right.
I want to make that very clear because some people come and dump on them like, oh my God, they didn't do this, they didn't do that. No, they did what
Right.
we paid them to do. It just wasn't for us, right? They didn't know how to speak to us as change makers, right? As people that are meant to create outside the box. And we put ourselves in some boxes sometimes because it feels weird to be the only one that's doing something. And I want to let you know that's okay. And that's also why I created, my business the way I did, right? So for brainstorming, being the brainstorming bestie, right? The idea details, because there was a need for entrepreneurs that think outside the box, right? That have this calling that's deeper than just monetary, right? It's more purpose driven to say it's okay to follow that intuition. It's okay to follow that download that God gave you and see where it goes. Because you're meant to do something with that. That's how you give back to humanity. So I want to make that very clear. We're not dumping on
Right.
anybody that we didn't feel connected to in that way because it just wasn't for us at that time.
And 100%. So I'm definitely not saying that. I'm saying everything is not for
No,
everybody.
yeah.
Because I've had people I've worked with where they weren't my ideal clients.
Mhm.
So the realization is everything is not for everybody. So definitely if you can save money and not invest a whole lot into something and then realize after, okay, I spent this 2,000, 5,000, 10,000, and it really wasn't for me. Definitely do this research, definitely go to the free webinars, definitely do the free consultations, do those things before investing because it will financially save you a lot. So not saying don't do it. What we're saying is that wasn't for us.
Yeah, and sometimes outside of just going and look at their free things and vetting the coach or the strategies that you're working with, checking with yourself. That's the whole
Yeah.
thing about your detox. Do you need this? Are you getting this because out of fear, because you think this is what an entrepreneur is supposed to do, or is it actually going to benefit where your business is headed? That is why it's so important to have mental clarity, because you don't have a whole bunch of things telling you, yes, yes, this is good, you need this, you need that, da da da. Let's quiet the noise, clear it out, and get back to you. How is this going to benefit your business? How is this going to benefit you? How is this going to benefit that next level that you're being called to go to? Is it worth it? Is this where you're actually headed? Is this fear based? It's all these things that get to come during an idea detox, because we're getting back to the core of you, right? And we're doing it not based in fear based and all these things. It's saying, oh, I forgot this path was even here for me. I forgot this is the direction I'm supposed to go. I forgot this is my calling. This is my gift. This is what feels good to my soul. That's what we're getting back to.
100%. Because if you don't check in with you and have conversations with God, if this is what the direction He's leading you into, you have to have those conversations. And I love how you incorporate that into what you do because a lot of people don't check in with themselves. They don't check in with God. They try to go with what's hot, what's popular, what somebody said, and they lose sight of what they're supposed to be incorporating or what they're supposed to be doing to help others with their testimony. And sometimes it is fear-based because I think a lot about Proctor. I was listening to his audiobook and he was saying when his business ideal came, he was telling his friend and he was looking at his friend's facial expression and he realized it wasn't for him because his God didn't give that to him. His friend couldn't get it and he was defeated at the moment and he realized, you know what? He's not my ideal client that I would work with. So we wouldn't have had a Bob Proctor.
Exactly. And you know, it's hard to see that when you are just in survival mode. So that's why I'm very specific of where I catch you, where we work together. Because if you're starting out your business, if you're new, if you're like, I need money, I could tell you all these things and it feels good to your soul, but you can't see that yet because
Oh yeah.
money is your factor. You're going to go the logical way because for you it's the safest way, right? Nobody teaches us to trust ourselves. Nobody teaches us to truly be ourselves. So you got me coming and say, oh, this is the vision, this is the download I'm getting, this is what I'm hearing. And it's not even that it sounds right, it feels right, it feels aligned. But you have to experience certain things before you trust who you are and where you're headed, right? So that's like, get the success out the way, check off the boxes. So by the time you come to me and you're like, I need this alignment, I need this clarity, like my soul is asking for it, you trust where we're going. You know, you have a saying in that direction. And you know what it feels to be like over here, that you are ready to go this way.
So for you, because we know now everything is about clout, it's about social media, it's about trying to impress people, it's about, being seen. For you, at what point did you realize, you know what, I have a purpose, I have something in me, I want to help somebody to dig deep,
Mhm.
not just for, you know, most people say, well, I can help you get to six figures. I can help you get here. I can help you get there. But your realization is, I want to help you know who you are to
Mhm.
get you to that level that you want to be in, to check in with you. So, for you, at what point did you say, yo, Nick, I'm starting to feel this for myself?
Mhm.
And I want to help others transition to feeling this for themselves.
I mean, for me, like it would be weird for me to be like, let me help you make six figures, $1 million. First of all, I don't have that connection to that. I haven't made $1 million. I haven't been there. It just didn't seem right, right? And don't get me wrong, you I tried this business coach thing, it felt off. I tried different forms of coaching and it felt intuitively off. And I'm a person that if something isn't aligned, it's hard for me to do it, right? So I guess I'm glad that I had that inner balance to be like, this ain't it. And I listened to it. And even when I didn't listen to it, I was forced to listen to it, right? And I feel
Mhm.
that's God doing, saying, you have a mission, you have a purpose, like, girl, get on track. And don't get me wrong, I could be hard headed. I'd be all trying to compromise, like, oh, hey, listen here. How about we do it this way? What if I do this way? Like, I'd be trying to bargain.
I think we all be in negotiation with God. Like, God,
Listen,
come
you're a
on
little too
now. If
hard.
you
Relax a second. But what made me like really go hard into this is because when I started, the brainstorming bestie and brainstorming, while for me it was like, oh my God, come with your ideas, come with, your offers, your framework, and we're gonna work on it and all these things. Most of my clients were crying during this.
Mm,
And while I'm going through the yes, let it out, my mom was like, what is going on? It's like something is going on here. And I realized something deeper was happening, right? There was a release that I wasn't expecting from my clients. And if they didn't cry, they always said they had the urge to cry. And
mm,
what I realized is that while I was never talking to them, I was always talking to their soul. So everything that I was saying always hit. Like I would have an intuition to be like, why are you not using the color blue, or why are you not using your voice? And it would trigger something from like childhood for this person. And I didn't realize I even had that gift, right? Remember years ago, I always had this feeling I'm supposed to help people with their ideas. I didn't realize that was a gift and a direction that God was sending me to. So I freaked out and I was like, whoa, something deep is going on here. So I went on a journey to say, like, what is actually happening? What is going on? Why are they having these reactions? I realized because I was doing the soul's work. So while I'm calling this the brainstorming bestie and, the idea detox is soul work that I'm doing, right? I'm aligning you back to what your soul is here to do. That's why it feels so good on a deep, soulful level. And that's what made me realize, like, I'm not here to, necessarily help you with your business. I'm here to help the human behind the business. Because sometimes we can get caught up so much in entrepreneurship and survival and all these things to make money, right? That we forget that we're still a human, that we still have an experience, we still have a journey, right? And getting back into alignment with that. You make the money. You know how to do that. You did that already. Let's get you back into alignment. Let's get you back into a place where what you're doing is not only in your gift, that next level you're going to, but it's also you operating in your purpose. You fulfilling that obligation to your human experience. That's what I'm here to do. That's my purpose.
And which is so true. A lot of people start to lose who they are, and not just in entrepreneurship. It can be in jobs, it can be in relationships, it can be in, like you said, everything. And, you get, I don't know if you get this with clients, where clients are like, well, I'm trying to get back to the person I was when I was 20. I'm trying to get back to the person I was when I was 30, and you're no longer that person. You have evolved, you have grown. Now God is putting you in new directions and new paths and new things that you have to evolve and open yourself up to, which can be quite scary, because that's why we always want to go back, or
Mhm.
we always want to look forward, but we never want to look where we are ahead right now.
That's why you will never hear me try to get you back to who you were. I would tell you straight up, I'm very honest in my sessions, I'm very intentional. You are not that person. And I'm big on being present in who you are now, right? Yeah, we're getting to who you're becoming, but you have to be present enough. You have to understand where you're at, why you're here, what you're doing here, what you don't like about here, what is working for you here. And then we take that into the future. You learn from your past, you live in the present, and you plan for your future. And I find a lot of people either live in the past or they so far in the future that they can't appreciate what's going on now.
And that is so true, because, everybody's like, well, next year. And it's like, I'm going to lose weight next year. Okay, why can't you lose weight now? Why we going to wait till, and it's always January 2nd.
I remember I told a client this one time, and this is something I say, and I remind myself, I was like, I don't wait until Monday. We always want to wait till Monday to do something, to start something. I don't wait until Monday. Stop waiting until Monday.
Because Monday may not be promised. So that's the reality of it. How do you balance entrepreneurship, you time,
Mhm.
life, family,
Um, for,
relationships?
for me, that is easy. Honestly, because I always choose me. I choose me
Ooh,
over.
I love it.
I do not overcomplicate my life, and I don't complicate other people's life. I choose me. My happiness will come first. Um, so based on that, a lot of things don't bother me. A lot of things are not difficult to juggle. If I'm tired, I'm gonna rest. If I feel overwhelmed, I'm gonna take time to myself. Um, if I want to go somewhere and I have it, I'm gonna go. I am fortunate, however, because everybody can't do this. I don't have a kid. Um, I don't have a child. I set up my life in a way that I prioritize joy. I'm not offering a whole bunch of offers. You get the idea, detox, and that's it for now. And if anything comes up, it's on a proper basis, right? Like I'm staying true to who I am and how I show up in this world. It's a 60-minute offer. It's $500. That's all I do now. If you want something else, you got to get on my mailing list. Follow me in social media, because that's when you're going to know, oh, I'm going to have this pop-up event. Oh, I'm doing this. And it's maybe a one and done. I may do it again. I don't put these limitations and these obligations on myself that don't fit into my lifestyle and who I am. I don't do that anymore. So for me, it's not no balancing act. This is what I'm doing, because I set my life up that way. And that's the most aligned, that's the most aligned me.
I see. You just came and just said point blank period. And I will say, you are the first guest that I ever had on that said, at the end of the day, I'm choosing me. If this doesn't align with me, it's not for me.
It's not for me.
Because everybody else is like, oh, well, I'll take self-care, I do this, I do this, I do this. And most people say, I'm getting better with saying no and being okay with it and not feeling guilty. And for you, you learn what works for you,
Mm-hmm.
what's best for you, because people say, oh, well, I got to have this, I got to bring money in. And for you, you got it. And I love it that, what, he is going to provide for me. It's going to come. I don't have to overdo myself for money to come to me, because I do what works. The right person to come financially for my programs. If I don't want to do this anymore and I want to go to another program, I can do that. A lot of people don't get that. And I myself, and I'm finding, I was telling my therapist yesterday, I took the weekend off, and because I'm typically either doing babysitting or I'm doing something, and I took the weekend off, and I didn't feel guilty. I didn't feel worried financially of, okay, well, what about money? I was like, okay, God, you said you got me. I'm trusting you've had me all my life. I'm trusting that. So it's funny you said that, because it feels like, okay, that reminder from God in my conversation with my therapist of the alignment of, you have to put you first, because if you don't, nobody and nothing else besides God is going to put you there.
Exactly. And what I think it is too is I I went on a journey of exploration, right? So I'm so comfortable with myself and how I show up, what I'm meant to do with with my time here, that there's an ease to it. Now, I'm not saying there's not days where things could be complicated. I don't like to use the word hard, because when things is hard, it's hard to break through.
Right.
When something is complicated, there's solutions, right? So I have complicated days. Don't get me wrong, but they are just that, a complicated day, not a complicated life, not a complicated me. And I'm very intentional with distinguishing that. So my journey and me exploring who I am at every phase of my life, right? And reevaluating it allow me to be like, I don't like to do that. I mean, if you like that, that's cool with you, but it ain't for me. And I'm okay with that. And I stand in that, and I'm comfortable with that. And I think that's why I resonate with so many people, because there is an authenticity to who I am and how I show up, because I am me. I'm not trying to be somebody else. I'm not trying to convince you to like me and work with me. Like, if that connection, if what I'm saying speaks to you, you're gonna come. And
Right.
I trust that. That is what faith is. It's trusting the unknown. So I can't say I have faith and I have a calling, and this is my gift, and this is what God told me that I'm here to do. For me to be like, oh my God, I can't do this. And don't get me wrong, I've been there. But then I realized every time I was there, that was the worst I've ever felt. So what's use me being there? And then, sometimes we gotta tell ourselves, why not me? Why don't I deserve the good things? Why don't I get to live the life that I want? Like, this is legit my life, my human experience. Like, why am I living it for somebody else? That's weird.
So true. So true, because I think now we get, a lot of, and I feel bad for young kids and individuals who are in their 20s and teens and preteens. I feel bad because they're trying to compete with what's on social media, who we all know most of that stuff is fake. It's for clout. They go to stand by a car and, like, this is my car, and it's not even their car. Um, and they think this is, what life in the world is supposed to be. And the reality of it is, it's not. It's not happiness. We see a lot of celebrities and high profile individuals have all this money and they kill themselves because they're not happy.
Yeah, it's so true, and it's realizing that, like, you get to define what happiness is, right? And you hear celebrities and all these people that made money say it all the time, like, the money didn't make them happy. Now, the money could buy things that can make you happy. Don't get me wrong.
Right.
Make money. You would never hear me talk about don't make money and
Right.
make your money. Be the wealthy auntie, uncle, cousin. I don't care. But the happiness starts with you. The joy starts with you. Anybody else that brings it into your life is just an added bonus. Everything legit starts with you. And that's what I'm a big advocate for. Just not only mental clarity, but alignment. Because when you're in alignment, that is the easiest you can be. Like, most people fight against themselves. They don't fight to be themselves. They literally fight against who they are here to be. That is how society has trained us. That is how the world says you need to show up because you need to be like me. And it stops us from being our individual dope self. And that's crazy. So I'm always telling people, like, I don't fight against who I am. I don't fight not to be me, because that's the hardest battle you will ever have. And once again, weird. That is so weird. That don't even make sense if you think about it. I'm going to fight not to be me, but fight to be you. Like, let's look at that. Let's look at like, really think about that. And that's the space that a lot of people are in. And I feel like when it comes to kids, like, I love that they are so expressive.
Oh, yeah.
They are more in tune with themselves than we ever were as millennials. Like, let's be real here. And Gen X and all these gens and things, they have a sense of awareness. But with that, there's an imbalance of, like, instant gratification. And I think that's where a lot of it falls down
Right.
for them. So it's like, I feel like if we all operate in our gift, we can come with a solution to help them out.
I love and I appreciate that you know who you are, point blank, period. And you are not you are not going to allow anything or anyone to change that. And yes, 100% get your money. We're not saying don't get your money. What we're saying is connect with yourself internally and connect with, is this what's really making me happy? Is this what really, I wake up every morning, I'm in tune, I'm excited about doing and going to and things like that. That's what we're saying. Definitely get your money 100% because trust me, I'm gonna get mine. So
Listen, we still gotta live.
exactly.
It's also balance, right? Like, every day, you're not gonna wake up feeling the best, and you're not gonna wake up feeling like motivated and stuff, and just being like, that's okay too. Just watch out for how long you're there, but that's okay too. Like, some days I'm like, you know what? I'm sitting in bed and I don't feel like doing nothing. I don't even want to talk to you. I don't want to talk to nobody. Call me back on Tuesday. You can call friends, family. I am like that. Like, if I'm like, I feel like I'm going through something, hit me up on Tuesday. It's an emergency. It's a bad news. tell me on Tuesday, and take that time for yourself. The world is still going to continue without you. You're going to be okay to take time for yourself. And that gives you space to think, to see what your next steps are, right? It's in stillness. It's in stillness. It's hard for God to talk to you when every shit is just loud and everybody's in your ear and everything is coming at you and everything is telling you you got to make all these decisions and everything sounds good and everything sounds bad and everything. Take time for yourself. Be in stillness. See your next move. Come to me.
Go to her. Now I'm just gonna name her Pastor Nic Laprosperous.
I went from the Brainstorming Bestie to Pastor Nic.
The pastor Brainstorming Bestie. Go to her because what you offer is different. I've had so many coaches, so many individuals on, and I'm thinking this is my season of this podcast because I had a guest on 2 weeks ago and she's a therapist and she was saying she was holistic and she doesn't just work with mental health. She works with the whole aspect of the person, internally, externally, everything. And I'm like, you don't get many therapists that work on that level. What you do, I don't hear coaches that say that. I get coaches hitting me up on LinkedIn and every other place talking about, I can help you scale your business.
I mean, it's so true, right? But then I had to realize what's important for me, right? Outside of money, right? Because the money's going to come. I do believe that because I'm of purpose to humanity, the money's going to come. And I'm pretty dope. Like, why would you not want to brainstorm with me? But, all jokes aside, like, I feel as though it wouldn't be right for me to be on that end of talking about, I could make you money and I could scale your business. That's not authentic to who I am, right? Like I said in the beginning, I am here for the human behind the business. Just like, everybody focused on a business, and I had to ask myself, but who is here for the leader? Who is here? The CEO, the boss, the founder outside of their business? Who is here for them? The therapist for your mental and to go back into traumas and stuff. But who is here in your brain to be like, let's clear out that noise. Where's that idea taking you? Where's that vision taking you? What is your soul telling you? That check-in. And I don't consider myself a coach. That's probably why it's easier for me. I just consider myself a woman that is just sharing her gifts. And this is how I'm choosing to share it. Like, I'm not going to be with you for 6 weeks and 6 months and all these time. Absolutely not. Because that's not how I show up. I mean, I'm sorry, I'm going to have to kick you out at some point. But I am here for that 60 minutes. That's why I'm intentional with this offer, right? Because it's 60 minutes because you don't need that much time for clarity. I'm not here to just be taking your money, right? I'm here for you so that you could get back to alignment, so that you could be of service to humanity. And you can check in with me every quarter. You can, have me on retainer, like, you know what? I need a clarity check-in. I need an idea detox. That is fine. But I just had to know my place and be okay with that. And that's okay for now.
That, like I said, what you offer and, just you knowing what you want, you being aligned with knowing, okay, I'm a leader. And I know as a leader, these are some things that I've struggled with, and I want to help somebody else who's struggling with this. I'm not saying to you, oh, I want to help you scale your business. I want to do this. I want to do this. I want to help you deal with you internally. I want to help you become the best version of you overall. And that is amazing. So yes, we adding pastor on to that. The
No, y'all don't come after me.
she gonna have a sermon on Sunday, y'all.
Oh, that is too funny. That's a good one.
Yes, we got to add some more to that.
Yeah. I'm just speaking my truth and what was downloaded to me, and one thing that I always say and that I noticed is that most humans, the loneliest part for them are in their head. And that's double for an entrepreneur, one that has a team, one that's a solopreneur, one that's making money, one that's having, you know, a whole bunch of clients, and there's still a disconnect, right? Because now you're wanting for more. Your soul is saying, but this is what we're supposed to do. How do you make that transition, right? So now be your mind doesn't have to be that lonely place for you anymore. That is where I fit in. That is where you get the help at.
So, if you can tell individuals who you work with, where they can find you,
Yeah.
and how long your offer is for.
Okay, so you can find me on all the social media platform as Nic Laprosperous. Um, you know that spelling right there.
You're gonna have pastor in front of it,
Yeah,
but
we ain't got the pastor there yet. Not yet. God didn't give me that download yet, but you may be speaking into existence.
yeah, preacher Nick
You
LaProsperous.
know what? Not even a pastor. Let's go back. Not even
Mr. Preacher.
we gonna be like, let me be on some like Louise Hayes, Esther Hicks type of stuff. I could deal with that.
Yeah, we're gonna add speaker
Virtual.
next time. Yeah, we'll have a speaker the next time you come on. Speaker Nick LaProsperous. Yeah, so I can definitely see you doing that, doing TED
Like
Talks, and
virtualist.
yes.
But yes, on all social media, I am Nic Laprosperous. Follow me. And I have great content about getting into alignment. Go into my DM. Let me know what is feeling out of alignment for you, or what is something that you would like to detox. Also, my offer, the Idea Detox, that is my signature. That is here to stay for the foreseeable future. That is what I have now. Anything outside of that, like I said, is more pop-up style. So you may want to get on my email list to know when I'm going to have something pop up. And I do different things, but it's all with the theme of, clarity, alignment, and inner peace, right? That human experience. Um, what was the other question? I'm sorry.
Who you work with?
So I work with accomplished entrepreneurs, accomplished visionaries, leaders, CEOs. What's important to me is not that you have success, but is that you are in that place where the money isn't an option for you. It's not something that you rely on as much anymore, because you realize that you're at a point now in your life where the alignment, the purpose work is more important. So I don't want to compete with your fear of money and your fear of this and your survival mode, right? I want you to be like, I've been in this place so long that it no longer feels aligned to me. Let me follow my path. Let me follow my purpose. Let me see what that looks like now. What does that next step look like? And I want to help you clear that road, sweep that road, clean that inner closet, that mental closet, so that you can see where you're headed now.
And what advice, recommendation, suggestion would you give an entrepreneur or just the individual, everyday individual?
Oh my God. I think the biggest advice I would give someone is to learn you.
Mm.
Go on an exploration journey of self. It is beautiful. It's going to bring tears to your eyes. It's going to have you face some things that you didn't think you had to face or didn't want to face. But I always say the worst thing that could happen is you get to the end of your life, whenever that is, and you have regrets. And something that keeps me grounded, and I don't share this often, but I feel inclined to share this. And I'm not going against anyone's belief in what you think. But if we are saying that God is our father, right? Or mother, however you look at the situation, and you haven't seen your parents since you were born. I mean, physically seeing them, touch them, they're there in your heart, right? You feel them around you. I don't want to know that when I die at 94 years old, don't ask how I know, I just know.
You know a lot, so I
Right.
I'm not even
I
gonna question.
know that when I die at 94 years old and my parent comes to me, my maker, and says, "What was it like? Tell me what your experience is like. I want to know that everything I say is good. There's no shame in that. There is no regret in that. I want to be like, I did this. I fell over here. Oh my God, I probably wouldn't do that again, but boy, was that a good time. I want to know that I am living this life to my fullest in how I show up, how I engage with people, the time I take for myself, the mistakes I make, you know, I want to make sure that at the end of my life, when I have my debriefing, because I feel like we're gonna have a debriefing, it just makes sense to me. You know, this is an assignment that I can stand 10 toes down in everything that I did and every decision that I make, and that's important to me. So go on a self exploration journey. Understand who you are. Do the things that light you up. Do the things that you know that brings you joy. And if it doesn't work out, who cares? You tried it. Now you know. That's a little Nick philosophy for you.
She'll be back soon with her TED talk. Watch out for.
Any TED Talk people?
Yes, 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 yes. But I thank you so much for sharing your story, your path, your encouragement to, you know, my thing is when I have guests on is it's also for me. You know, it's some things that they say that touch me and I'm like, okay, God, oh, you had me have this person on for a reason. But, you know, you said so much that we have gotten away from because, especially in this climate now, people are worried about the shutdown, the government, you know, medical, food, this, and that. But at the end of the day, our overall protector and father and keeper who's going to make sure that we are provided for who we need to check in with instead of worrying about a president, the government, and those things there, just trusting him and making, and he's going to provide away from us.
Mm-hmm.
So I thank you for that because it does give us a reminder of taking that time for stillness, taking that time to check in with ourselves and with God and having those conversations and not, you know, not saying not to go to someone, a business person, to talk about your dreams and aspirations, but check with God and then go to somebody like speaker Nic Laprosperous, the brainstorming bestie, to help you make sure you're really in tune with yourself because sometimes we think we're hearing God and it's not always God. That's why he says test.
Mm-hmm.
Test the spirits and make sure it's me. But I thank you for sharing that because I think right now this is well needed, well something that so many people need to hear that you know what, you are all that matter. Don't worry about what your mama's saying, whatever. If you don't feel like doing it, don't do it.
Yep.
So
Listen. And I'll be honest, this may not work for everybody, but it works for me.
oh, it works for me too. So yeah, I'm like, yep, I don't feel like doing it today. I ain't doing it. So I ain't doing it. So thank you, thank you, thank you. We are definitely going to have you back because I know that book is coming. Um, she laughing because she know I'm telling the truth. The book is coming. We're gonna have you back to talk about that. You know, when you on that TED talk, we're gonna have you back. You know, a little group setting with other entrepreneur women. We're gonna have you back because you have so much that so many women need to hear and need to understand that you matter and you're the person. So thank you
Oh my
so much.
Thank you so much for just having me on this platform, giving me the space to think, asking me these wonderful questions. Yes, I truly appreciate you. And just for speaking, greatness over me and all these things. The TED Talk, yes. The book offer, yes. Everything you said, hell yeah.
That's the funny thing, because people will always ask me. I had somebody that posted something, and I don't. That's something God has given me. God has given me the gift to see people, to see genuine, authentic people, and it may be certain things that just I can't. And I'm like, just what you post and what you say is authentic. It's you. You're not trying to sell anybody on anything. You're saying, this is me. This is who God created. I'm showing up as this person. Either you can take it or you can leave it. Honestly, I don't give a damn. I'm still going to be me at the end of the day. So that's why I'm saying I can see this, all the greatness that God has in store for you. I don't know when it's going to happen, but I know it's going to happen for you. So that's why I'm saying, like, you are an amazing speaker. The things that you talk about, what you can write your story of your life at 9, having, dealing with lupus and not finding out later in life. A lot of men and women can take that. So sometimes I'll say stuff and people be like, "How do you know that?" I just know. But just
Thank you.
you're welcome.
I love your platform. I love what you're doing. I love how you are, giving women with a story, right? Women that their story can inspire other people, not even women, just people, humans. For this platform and the question that you asked to just get this out of us, right? And allow us to shine and share and inspire, right? Thank you for even creating this.
You are welcome, because one of my friends said I was going to do it. And I was like, girl, you crazy. I ain't doing a podcast. And then COVID and God was like, oh, yes, you are, boo. And we going to start because you isolated for 3 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
So go ahead and get these people on. So I think her, she is like that person that always speaks positivity and says, you're gonna do this, you're gonna do this, you're gonna do this. And sometimes I'm like, no, I'm no. And then God's like, she's right.
Yeah.
So thank you, Naomi, for being that person in my life. So, and I did, and I love every moment of it. And I love meeting amazing people like yourself. So, until next time, this is Mind, Health, and Wellness with LaJune. You can find me on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, LinkedIn, or LaJuneSingleton.com. See you guys soon. And thank you again, the Brainstorming Bestie. Go check her out if you're in that place to elevate yourself internally, externally, and mentally. She is the girl. See you then.
Yes. Bye, everyone. Thank you.